I'd like to bring to order the special meeting of the City of Keystone Heights. Today is Tuesday, March 29th at 5 p.m. City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Yes, and before I do that, I wanted to let you know that Mr. Commando is stuck in a gas leak in Middleburg right now. He is about 20 minutes away. However, I do have him on speaker, and so as soon as he gets here, he'll transition from speaker into in-person. Mr. Commando, can you hear us okay?
I can hear you. I don't know if I can hear everyone else just yet.
Okay, we'll navigate as best as we can. So with that being said, Mayor Lake,
Here.
Vice Mayor Hart,
Here.
Councilman Bobby Brown,
Here.
Councilman Tony Brown,
Here.
Councilwoman Kelly.
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any public comment cards?
I have a few. The first one is Mr. Paul Fessenden.
Mr. Fessenden, would you like to come up to the podium, please, and state your name and your address for the record? And you will be on a timer. We have 3-minute timers.
Okay. My name is Paul Fessenden. I live at 134 Darkwater Lake Road in Hawthorne. I'm here representing the Keystone Heights Rotary Club, as well as the Friends of Keystone Heights, which I was voluntold that I was the president of. So
That's how that works.
yeah, that's how it works. That's right. I come here today to speak, to say that I think that the shenanigans that have been going on in Keystone Heights, for lack of a better word, the war that has been going on between the mayor and the city clerk, and the city clerk before her, is uncalled for. It's unprofessional, and it needs to stop. I have examples of the unprofessionalism that the mayor has shown towards me in Rotary, and I will say that Mr. Bukowski has been 100% professional in all of my dealings with her, both as city clerk, as city manager, and as a Rotarian. As a matter of fact, she was Rotarian of the Year my second term as president, because she was so involved and available for the Rotary Club and the work that she did for the city. The mayor has sent me a text in the middle of the night complaining about something that I put into the bulletin, or left out of the bulletin, actually the Rotary Bulletin. It was crude, it was juvenile. I will tell you what it said if you'd like to know, but it really should not be said in a public forum. So that's...
Mr. Fessenden, if you
yes.
will call me after the meeting, I'll have a conversation with you. I'd like to have that conversation with you.
That would be fine.
Okay, so please call me after the meeting and I'll have a conversation with you.
Okay. Thank you.
For the record, I've seen that email.
Next person, please.
Miss Carrie Collins.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Lose my train of thought.
And for the record, this special meeting is about the city manager's resignation, just to be clear.
Good evening. Thank you all for allowing me to speak. I just saw this on the agenda. I signed up for the emails to get notices of the meeting, so that's how I knew that it was happening, and I looked at the agenda. And to your point, yes, I did see that was the point of the meeting tonight, was about the city manager's resignation. And I personally would like to say that I would be sad if she resigned, because I think that she's done a good job in her capacity as the city clerk and then the city manager. I would like to say that when the council voted on her promotion, I believe it was unanimous. And any due diligence that needed to be done should have been done before that point. Looking back now in hindsight does no one any good. It should just be moving forward. So I think it's water under the bridge. I think banging the drum is a detriment to the city. I've seen myself comments made on social media that are dangerous precedent and a slippery slope, and the council has the responsibility to self-regulate itself. So we can have all the personal conversations we want to off the record, but the fact remains that what's happening is not off the record. What's happening is out in the public domain, and everyone is seeing it, and it is representative of our city, and I don't like the way it looks. It's not representative of me. It's not how I conduct myself. I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm here to express my concern. I've not said anything previous to this point about the reputation of the city of Keystone Heights. Every council member has a responsibility to do what they need to do on behalf of the city. I'm not advocating for anything to be done. I think we're past the point that things are going to change, because honestly, I've seen this scenario happen, played out in different ways repeatedly with conversations to be had off the record, and nothing has changed. Enough is enough. Either do something or move on. But I do not want to see this city dragged through the mud anymore. Honestly, I grew up here. I love this city. I've invested a lot of time and energy into doing things for the community. And it's not just representative of one person, it's representative of all of us. All of us. So, thank you. My time is up.
Next public comment card.
Next, I have Chris Thompson.
My name's Chris Thompson. I live at 645 Southeast Lakeview Drive, Keystone Heights, Florida. As the newest incoming member of the City Council, I ran primarily because I love this town. I've been in this town for many, many, many years. I won't tell everybody how many, but a long time, more than I'd like to admit. Anyway, I would like to see Lynn stay on as city manager. When I met Lynn, I was extremely impressed with her knowledge. And that's one of the biggest reasons I ran for the city council. And I would like her to retain her position, and I would like you, Mayor Lake, to resign. Thank you.
Next public comment card, please.
I have Mr. Todd Beals.
Todd Beals, 5305 County Road 352. I'm a business owner here in town, and I've asked to speak tonight on behalf of our city manager, Lynn. I feel it's a shame and frustrating that I'm having to come up here and defend Lynn and the great job that she's done, because our mayor is not able to put her differences aside and let Lynn do the job that she was hired to do. In the short time that Lynn has been our city manager, she's accomplished many things that make Keystone Heights a better place and a place people want to come and visit or live. She has built close relationships through the county and surrounding counties, from our Sheriff Michelle Cook to Kimberly Morgan with Clay Tourism to St. John's Water Management and more. These relationships are important, and we don't want to lose that connection. Some of her accomplishments are the grant for the renovation of the beach pavilion, which was amazing, the grant for adding the bathrooms to the beach pavilion and renovating the old beach bathrooms and stage. I'm looking forward to the sunrise service down there. Coordinating the downtown enhancement, working in conjunction with business owners and engineers on streetscapes beautification. The paddleboard kiosk on the beach, coordinating with the Keystone Airport and other government entities to bring water and sewer to the airport and allow for growth and additional events. She has a great working relationship with St. John's Water Management, which is needed for the Black Creek Pipeline project. Lynn has worked with Clay Tourism, the airport, the firm, and Travis Pastrana to bring the NRX event to our community, which was a huge deal for our local businesses and a great event for the public. And now she is working with Clay Tourism again to bring Moto Surf event to Keystone Heights. Both these events bring lots of revenue to all our surrounding businesses. She was recently a key player in bringing the Clay County Chamber Prosperity Partners to the Lake region, a great benefit to our businesses. When trees fall in the middle of the night across roads, she's up and out helping with the removal so people can get out and get to work. She volunteers at the American Legion. She volunteers with her kids in the high school ROTC program. This is what a great mom does. These are just some of the things that I know she does. This is what a great city manager does. This could be the second great city manager that has left because of harassment, and it's a shame that differences can't be put aside for the better of the community. With this, my hopes are that Lynn will reconsider by pulling her resignation, and the city council will not accept it. I'm disappointed that the bitterness has created so much division. We know a change needs to be made, and we also know Lynn is a great city manager. We want her to stay. My true concerns are we willing to go down this road a third time? We have a wonderful city here, and I would hate to see the passion for that gone. Thank you.
Are there any other additional public comments?
Mr. Scott Cornegay.
Would you state your name and
Scott Cornegay, 2028 Southeast County Road, 21B, Melrose, Florida. You all know me. You know my reputation. You know what I stand for. Right is right, and wrong is wrong. You need to do what's right and do whatever it takes to keep her on board as the city manager. Then you need to start the impeachment process for Karen Lake.
is that the last one?
That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Okay. The item on the agenda for today is the city manager resignation. Mr. Brown, you called this meeting to order. Would you like to go?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Believe it or not, I've got I wrote everything out today so I wouldn't forget anything. So I called this meeting because I will not be here Tuesday night, and I knew this was going to probably be the hot topic, and I wanted my views and my opportunity to voice my opinion once again. And if you'll just bear with me, since I wrote all this down. First, I would like to thank my fellow council members for agreeing to have this very important special council meeting concerning a very critical subject. I would like to comment on a couple things, but before I get into the meat of this meeting, the last meeting, Mayor, when I went to make a motion during my discussion, you jumped in and told me I couldn't do that. I have found out since then I could have legally made a motion at that time. I just want to make that clear to the record. To the citizens of Keystone Heights, I, as one of your city council members, apologize for the several months that we've been dealing with this issue. And I agree with Ms. Collins. This has been a real nasty slap in our community. And I'm going to go off record, or off my script here. When I was very young, believe it or not, during the summer, the Watergate hearings were going on. I sat and watched them things as a young kid. And I was very impressed with the chairman, which was Sam Urban from North Carolina, who was an old Southern lawyer. And I watched how he conducted himself. And I said, if I ever had a chance, I wanted to be that kind of servant to the people. I'm no Sam Urban, but I have given quite a bit of time to this community, and not for any kind of glory or anything like that, but that's just part. I watched my dad get up in the middle of the night and go fight fires for the volunteer fire department, so I did that. And I got the opportunity to start serving in 1996 on this council. This is home. This is home to all of us. And just like Ms. Collins, again, thank you. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Or I believe you said that too. But anyhow, we need to get this corrected, and we need to do it today, if possible. Now I'll get back on my script. I want to talk about the accomplishments that the city manager has had. I was here when she was hired by then city manager Terry Suggs, and he saw something in, I'm gonna just say your first name because I've always had a problem with the last one. So something in Lynn as a leader, as someone that can take the bull by the horns and get things done. And she has proven that time and time again as a clerk and as a city manager. Mayor, when you came on board, we had the unfortunate of having COVID and lockdowns and everything. But with that, Lynn had to come up and we did a lot of stuff to the beach because of the COVID and stuff. Streetscapes, the airport, everything. I'm not going to reminisce all this stuff. We all know what she's done. Here in the past weekend, I've seen a lot of support, even on Facebook, for Lynn and her accomplishments and what she's done for the community and for the city. And that's coming from other city managers, that's coming from county officials, that's coming from our state officials, and even all the way up to Washington, of being able to work with her and getting things done. I honestly do not feel, and even if I was not sitting in this seat, I would be out here saying the same thing. I feel like, Mayor, you have an issue with texting and tweeting. That's obvious. Back in, we all got this email the other day, so it's public record. And on your tweet on
I can quote it for you.
2/8/22.
It said, I said, evidently,
No, that's not the right one. That's the next one.
okay, go ahead.
We hired a liar, a high school dropout at $70,000 per year. And then the one you were getting ready to, evidently, you can lie about being a high school graduate and still win a $70,000 city manager job. We, as a council, and if there's any mud to be slung, it should be slung on all of our faces. If you have such a hard time with her not having the credentials that you feel like she had to have, because you voted just like the rest of us to put her in this position. And just, you get
Go
your
ahead.
chance.
Sure.
So there's no excuse for this kind of behavior from a mayor or any of the rest of us up here. One of the other things that I saw this morning is, and this was on Facebook for everybody to see, Senator Jennifer Bradley and former Senator Rob Bradley made a Facebook comment, just like I have done for my daughters, for their accomplishments. And I'll read. So proud of our sweet Caroline. Your next chapter at Levin School of Law, University of Florida, will give you all the tools to chart your own course. Dad and I love watching your dreams unfold. I didn't comment on it, I just put a like on it, but Mr. Vice Mayor Hart did make a comment, and rightfully so. He's a graduate of the University of Florida Law. From one Gator lawyer to another. And then, Mayor, for some reason, you felt like, Steve Hart, education doesn't matter for the city of Keystone Heights. That's what you advocated for Lynn Rutowski. She's a high school dropout. You support her. That is bullcrap. I'm sorry. I'm sick and tired of it. Why in the world, as many times since you have sat there in that seat, have we said and commented on your tweets and your emails, or not emails, but your texts and stuff like that? You continually do it. And even in the situation we are right now, as of this past weekend, you put stuff out there. And that's mud in not just our face, but in the whole community. Why a representative of this city can do that? And I got a lot to go over. And
Tony, can I interrupt for just a second? Just for the sake of the record, we all have a copy of that I've distributed, and I filed a copy with the clerk, the city manager, so it would be part of the public record, and also the press would have access to it.
Okay. Council, you guys out here, and I swore to my daughter in Virginia, which is probably watching this, that I wouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. I've been doing this since 1996, off and on. And apparently, I represent the citizens of this city the way they want to be represented. Do I like doing what I'm doing right now? No. But I take a lot of pride in what we do in this city and what we represent in this city. We're not that big. We're not. But people look at us. We've got so much happening right now that it would be disheartened. I would be disheartened if we as a council accept the manager's resignation. But I say that, but who in the heck wants to work as a city manager here that has council continuously texting, emailing, and putting this stuff out there on social media? We have to be diligent on what our mouths might say it, but our heads are thinking and our fingers are typing it. We need to be more careful. And there's things that I spoke about in a previous thing, and I'll just go ahead, and our lawyer's here. So if I'm out of order, Rich, would you please correct me? There has been malfeasance is an intentional conduct that is wrongful and unlawful, especially by officials or public employees. Not just you, but all of us I'm speaking of. And if I myself were to do this, I would hope to God somebody on this council or in that audience would question it. So I'm questioning it tonight, this afternoon. I personally feel back in 2019 that malfeasance was done on your part, Mayor, as you contacted the engineers that we had, which is Michael Baker at that time, to conduct some services without this council knowing, without staff knowing, and then we get a bill for it. So the city taxpayers, I'm a city taxpayer, I had to pay for that bill. The vegetation removal contractor was another one. This goes against the Keystone Heights Code of Ordinance, Article 3, Section 11. The only city employee or contractor that a council member is allowed to speak with about city business is the city manager and the city attorney. She's also routinely texts and calls the city employees about city business. I could go on and go on and go on, but this has been brought up. already this afternoon. Any elected official may be removed from office by impeachment for misfeasance, malfeasance, or nonfeasance in the office. That doesn't just go for one, it goes for all of us. Charges may be performed or preferred against such official under oath by 10 or more electors of the city to the city council. That's no one from the county. That's city residents that pay city taxes. Unfortunately, that doesn't, and I've heard this time and time, business owners, you don't fall in here as a resident. So it's strictly the residents. Upon a proper investigation, determine and charges sufficiently accrued to require impeachment proceedings, the person charged shall be furnished with a copy of the articles of impeachment, following which the procedures prescribed by the statute of the state of Florida will be invoked. I'm almost done. Like I said, there's a lot that I have been a part of over the years, and we've had our differences. I've been on several different councils here, and we all have had differences at some time. But when a house is divided, things can't get done. This house is divided, and we need to get some mortar to put on our bricks and get rebuilt, or we're going to fall apart. It's funny, when I was coming in here today, I felt like this was my first meeting I ever had because I was so daggone nervous, because I don't want to be doing this. I really don't. And it's just, we as a city, let's put it this way, education. I have a high school diploma, and I was one of them high school kids that were sitting on the front row because my name is B, worrying, am I going to get a diploma? I didn't know if I was going to graduate from high school or not. I did a little bit. I didn't study as good as I should have, I put it that way. But I've had several businesses over the years. Some of them amounted to something, some of them didn't. This one I have right now, I've had for 7 years. It's had its ups and downs because of the economy and COVID, because I deal with restaurants. But I look back, it was a whole different time in the United States, but my stepfather that raised me had 11th grade education. Smartest man I ever knew. He could do calculus, he could do algebra, he could do anything. But he had 11th grade education. He had a good job at Clay Electric. He retired from Clay Electric on 11th grade education. I don't give a cat's meow what kind of education our city manager has, if the job's getting done. And
Tony, can I say something?
just
Well, it's about the education. When she came in and Terry Suggs was talking to her, we came up with the performance appraisal of that. Experience can substitute the education, and that's why that happened. The experience was to substitute the education that she had.
okay, thank you.
I apologize. Can I interrupt? Can I intervene in this? I would appreciate the opportunity to make a statement. The conversation's turned to my education. No, I didn't have a high school diploma. I do now. took a day, and I shared that at the last meeting. What I learned taking those tests is that I still know how to balance scientific equations, something that I did 25 years ago. And I can promise you, I haven't used it a day since. But I remembered it. I had to dig deep. With that being said, my resignation has been passed through the community, and those who have had the unfortunate opportunity, I'm not entirely sure that's the right word or not, to flip over their phones and share with me the FU text to some of our school officials, and the "you will not step foot inside city limits" from some of our higher elected officials.
It's a
and
school board member that
things
apparently got involved in this.
of that nature. Some of the business owners, and a new business owner that is coming in, that I had the privilege and exciting news of signing the business tax application today. I've shared phone calls with some of our community leaders and went and sat down with some of these officials who has really off the sidelines. I've had conversations about what am I doing, why am I doing this. I thought that I was giving you what you wanted when I resigned last Tuesday after receiving an email. I figured the conversation ends because a house divided does not stand. That's something that keeps being repeated. I learned this morning, not by me being on Facebook, but by others, about the message that went out after I submitted my resignation, still going on about me by our elected official, and realized it's not going to stop. That took me back to a moment of when, prior to Mr. Cornegay's resignation, I was considering a job elsewhere. And I was in serious conversations with in that position. The mayor had a very candid conversation once she learned that I was being sought out after by a different agency, and the conversations, from my understanding, were less than kind. And I received a phone call of, "Are you sure that you want to be the city manager? And are you sure that you want to get involved in this?" And I will say and I'm speaking specifically to Vice Mayor Hart, Councilwoman Kelly, and Councilman Tony Brown, because we've been in this for a very long time, that I do want to be the city manager. I love what I do here. I love what we have done together. I love the accomplishments that we've made. I will be the first one to tell you that I have made mistakes. And I think we've learned from the airport that sometimes those are big and sometimes those are small. But when you stand together, you get through it. And I promise you that Keystone Heights is going to come out good on the other side. The conversations that I've had with our engineer today are exciting. The things that I say that Mr. Cornegay and I worked very hard on while he was city manager, some of these have been in the works when Mr. Suggs was city manager. They're coming to be. And oh my gosh, the things that are happening. And these are conversations that the three of you have sat down with me and said, these are things that we need to accomplish. And we're doing it. And it's great. But going back, and I apologize, it's not going to stop. I would seek employment elsewhere, and I'm pretty confident that phone calls will still be made. I'm pretty confident that social media is not going to stop. And so, to council, this is my ask. I'm going to ask that you please consider allowing me to rescind my resignation. I want to do this. I want us to do this. And Madam Mayor, I'll talk to you Monday if that's okay with the council at the council meeting.
I think perhaps at this time a motion might be made to not accept the resignation.
I haven't called for that action yet, Mr. Hart, and I have
Point of
some-
order. It's on the table. The door's been opened. It's my turn.
Okay, go ahead.
The motion is to set aside the resignation and accept her intent to remain on the job.
Second.
Third, fourth, fifth.
Going to call the vote. If you don't, you can step down and I will.
I'm not calling a vote until everybody's had a chance to
All
talk.
right. Call the question.
I want to go back to what Mr. Brown said. I believe that at this point, it's not about the job she does for the city. She does a great job getting the work done. And it isn't really about her lack of educational achievements, because I congratulated her in an email when she earned her GED. She didn't mention that part, did she? She didn't mention that I said congratulations to her. Please put it in your file and pass it along to council, which she didn't do. Okay? What it is about for me, and it's always been about for me, which is the point that has been missed from the beginning, was she lied for 8 years about being a high school graduate. And I asked her a direct question.
She did not lie about that. I was here when she started to work.
But I
And it was-
wasn't.
Well, I don't give a damn if you were or not.
And
I was
I asked
here
her-
and I know the truth.
I asked-
know the truth.
Well, you don't know my truth.
Well, I know the truth about her. When she came in, she told us she didn't have it.
When she called me to talk to me about her applying for the city manager job, I asked her, you know, it's important to me that you have some education, that you show that you can finish something. And I asked her a direct question, are you a high school graduate? And she said no, yes. And so I also want to share a time when I talked to her, and it was back when the Beals were buying their property. And I come in one Friday, and we were talking, we have our regular Friday meeting. And I said, any update on the Beal property? And she said, nothing to report. And later that evening, I was at a Kiwanis concession stand working a high school football game. And Mr. Beals came to me, and he says, you know, this is kind of under the radar. He says, we've been working on this. We haven't said anything because the Hatches had just bought their property downtown. And he said, but we closed on the building today. And I said, congratulations, welcome to downtown. We're really glad to have you as a business. I said, does Lynn know about this? And he said, yes, she knows. So I came to her on Monday and privately talked to her. And I said to her, you know, the lies aren't necessary. You can just say, you know, you're not going to say anything or whatever, but the lies aren't necessary. And so that was the first lie. The second lie that I was the instance of the lie about the high school graduation. And, you know, she also said at the February meeting that she was hired without completing an employment application. And former city manager and current Putnam County Administrator Terry Suggs contradicts Ms. Rakowski's claim about the absence of an employee application in her employee file. He distinctly remembers reviewing her application because he had 2 positions open he needed to fill, a full-time finance position and a part-time code enforcement position. He said she wasn't qualified for the finance position, so he hired her for code enforcement. And in my conversations with former Mayor Mary Lou Hildreth, she also witnessed that there was the existence of an employment application. What happened to that application? Somewhere between these 3 city managers, something happened to an application that went missing. And it doesn't appear to me that it would have been a function of Mr. Suggs, because he doesn't really have a dog in the race. And it probably isn't a function of Mr. Cornegay, because he's also a professional and would have treated that public record accordingly. But it was in Ms. Rakowski's wheelhouse that she might not want to produce an a public record when it was been requested. My point about all this is that if she is involved in that, that's a concern to this city. Is our city clerk and in charge of our public records? When asked, she needs to produce the public record. And if she had destroyed it, that also would have been a violation of a public records request. So those are concerning things to me, and those are questions that none of you have even talked about, not even thought about, not even considered. We're paying her to protect and produce records. There were other things that were missing besides the employment application. Councilman Brown, we've known each other for a long time. And for the most part, I've considered you experienced with a lot of knowledge about this town. I've considered you at times a friend and at times an adversary. And I think you could say the same thing. And I know you love Keystone. I know everybody up here on this dais loves Keystone. I do want to ask you a question. Do you know what this is? Is this?
That is looks like the city yard.
Yeah, is that your
The old-
trailer?
No, because the city of Keystone bought that trailer, and that belongs to the city of Keystone. Thank you very much.
How about
Don't
this?
try to pin something on me. That's the city yard.
Yeah,
on
but
Magnolia.
is that yours?
No, it's not.
It's not. Who does it belong to?
I take it belongs to the city of Keystone.
Is this smoker?
We're not in a court of law, but I'm wondering what the relevance of all this is.
Well, I wanted to ask
And I
Mr.
take
Br-
offense that you think that I'm going to use the city of Keystone. When I was the fire department president, I asked permission to park my van in the back of the fire department. You think I'm stupid enough to go park a business van or trailer or anything on
That's-
city property?
That's why I'm here asking. That's what I heard.
That's why I'm asking, why have you done all this, asking these contractors for stuff that is illegal?
I don't remember. I was probably not aware of the rule at the time, Tony. That was fairly new.
It
So I
doesn't
don't.
matter.
Point of order, we have a motion on the floor. I don't know if you want to continue the discussion. This
Well,
does
I
not
do.
seem to be relevant to the
It could be.
motion.
It could be.
We'll let the city attorney rule on that. Is this side conversation about trailers and parking lots, does that have anything to do with Lynn's resignation, in your opinion?
It did if he said he was the owner of the property. Yeah. It would have made a difference to the outcome of the conversation.
And if you remember right, that trailer was in Tallahassee 3 years ago for Clay Day. That's what it was purchased for, to carry all the stuff because you actually helped put stuff
Yeah,
in that trailer. So that is purchased by the city of Keystone.
All right, I'm just confirming.
Well, thank
I
you very
can't,
much.
I can't ask you privately, so I have to ask you publicly.
I'm
So-
going to make a formal motion to call the question. That'll require a second, and if the
You
vote
already
is
have
in the
a first and a
affirmative.
second. You already have a first and a
All right,
second. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? No.
Okay, now, the main motion is to allow her to
hold on.
withdraw her
Mr.
resignation.
Brown didn't vote.
Mr. Brown? So they're asking Lynn to,
We're playing some parliamentary procedure here, and basically, we're having this motion be properly brought before the body for a yes or a no. The preliminary motion was to bring it to a head. The secondary motion, or the main motion, is to actually rule on whether or not Lynn can withdraw her resignation. So that's where we're at.
So if I vote for it, what am I voting for?
You're voting to allow Lynn to stay.
If I vote against it?
you're voting to.
Not accept,
Not
the
accept-
not accept the resignation.
not accept
Whether or
the
not it'll have
resignation.
any effect, I don't know, but you can state how you feel by your vote.
I feel this is the biggest mess I've ever been in. And
Certainly.
you're throwing stuff back and forth, and can I abstain from voting on that?
No. No, actually, you're compelled to vote under Florida's ethics laws. Unless you have a legal conflict, which you haven't declared. Now, if you want the motion restated, it's your right as a council member to ask for the motion to be clarified. It's been a little bit of time, maybe we need to restate the motion.
Restate
The motion in a nutshell is to allow Lynn to rescind her resignation and not to accept her resignation. It's two-pronged. We've had a second, and.
First and a second,
We've
so-
now called the question, we voted to call the question, now it's the vote on
so
my
that she can
motion.
rescind her.
Exactly. Yeah, in a nutshell, that's it.
This is the biggest mess I've ever seen in my life. Why can't everybody just get along? I mean.
Well, that's where we're gonna be heading after this, I think.
Well, she put a resignation in, and now you're willing to take your resignation back.
Yes, sir.
Well, I guess you take a resignation back, but this whole mess is getting over. Everybody needs to take a pill, how to get along with one another, remember what we're here for, and right now, people aren't speaking to one another, people aren't getting along, you're afraid to say anything, but if you want to take your resignation back, you take it back and then we'll go to the next step. Got a lot of people on both sides of this stuff, and what a mess.
Are you calling the question?
Yes, I think that was, you were voting rescind, yes to rescind?
If she wants.
Let's just poll the board, just go down the line.
So
Aye,
it was
aye or nay?
4-1. It was 4-1.
We haven't had a vote on it.
Yes, can we call it?
I think the mayor believed your vote on calling the question was a vote on the main
Right,
motion.
clarify, we now are voting on whether or
Okay,
not she can
we'll
withdraw.
clarify, we're now voting on whether to rescind Lynn's resignation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. No. So it passes 4-1.
If I would be in order, I want to speak briefly to Carrie's point when she made public comment about self-regulation. However, all this does settles, I think we need to have a council workshop and come up with some definite rules of conduct, fill in some of the blanks that exist in the law. I hope council will back me up, but there are common law principles about loyalty, common law principles concerning censure. There are certain things that I think we need to talk about so that not so much for us, but for our successors, so we know exactly where we stand. So, Bobby, your successors aren't going to be fighting the same battle 10 years from now or 20 years from now. I would make a request, and it's not a motion, just a request, that at the council meeting, we go ahead and schedule a workshop so we can sit down, face-to-face, nose-to-nose, public, open to the public, and come up with some rules of conduct that make sense to us. So that would be my request. It's not a motion, but I will make that motion on Monday, and I request that that be on the agenda.
It doesn't have to be a motion if you want to schedule time to speak with each other, but because Councilman Brown will be absent from the meeting, you may want to try to schedule it. There's no reason you can't schedule it now, and Councilwoman-elect is here. I mean, you may want to all be
I
part
think
of that
that would be
conversation.
the most straightforward way of doing it. And it would be in public session. Is that acceptable to you, Madam Mayor?
I'm up for anything, whatever you guys want to do. Throw out a date.
Okay.
Mr. Brown?
I'm good.
What's your schedule like?
I'll be out of town next week. After that, I'm good until May. Then I go to Virginia.
If we were to shoot for something during the day in the third week of April, would that work for you?
I don't mind, but I'm just telling you, I'll be out. I mean, I don't know that I have to be here for part of that, but that's my kid's spring break, so I'll be out there.
I don't think this would be a legalistic discussion. I don't think it needs to be.
So the third and fourth week of May, or I'm sorry, you said April.
April, yeah.
The third and fourth week of April are very busy as we're gearing up for Motor Surf. Staff's going to be extremely occupied with the beach cleanup that I informed you about at the last meeting, getting things cleaned up and things of that nature. If it's at all possible after that event would be feasible, we are working, we have a very small staff here, and so
Yeah.
that's going to be, an international event's going to be all hands on
Well,
deck.
since the immediate crisis has passed, perhaps we could move this to June.
So I would either suggest
Or the
that,
May meeting. If you wanted to come
Yeah.
fully for the May meeting, perhaps have a
We could do it.
workshop before your May 2nd meeting.
Okay.
I don't know how much time you were
Fine with me.
thinking. Were you thinking an hour, 2 hours?
I think we can say what we need to say in an hour, and we can be prepared with some written suggestions as to how to approach some of these. We know what the 800-pound elephant in the room is. We just need to address some of these things and come up with some remedies in case it's not properly addressed. I would say an hour would be more than adequate.
Does 4 o'clock on May 2nd work for everyone else? You okay?
4 o'clock?
Yes.
I can't do 4.
Okay, 4 o'clock doesn't work.
But 4:30 is fine.
Okay.
That'd be fine, and then just not have a CRA. And
You know, I'm sorry, that's true. We may not have a CRA that day because we're not in budget for that yet. So 4:30 would work? Okay, 4:30 work for everyone else?
What date was it?
It's Monday, May 2nd.
so, thank you, Council. Oh, one other request for our agenda for Monday. Would you put on the consideration of a formal adoption of Robert's Rules of Order?
What
I
was
think
that?
I think we've been operating under Robert's Rules, but Robert's Rules of Order, I think the most recent iteration is 12.
Can I ask that we make that part of the conversation that you're going to have on May 2nd? We've operated
Sure. We have,
loosely up to this point.
yeah, okay. That's fine.
Okay, I know there's been folks who have sat through this. I don't mind opening up another public comment section if anybody has anything they want to add before we close. Does anybody have anything to add before we close?
Can I say,
One thing. Oh, I'm sorry, you gotta take your turn? It's nothing really, except that when you're having this workshop, it isn't just about Karen's text messages. There's unprofessionalism on all sides. So when you have this meeting, there should be some rules and regulations.
It's not council person specific, it's all
Right,
of us.
everybody.
These rules would apply
Right.
to everybody.
You can't send out ugly text messages. When Steve Hart says, I need this form, it has to be given to you. There's got to be some kind of measurements in there for everybody. Everybody's got a boss. So if you were to say, Lynn, I need this form from you, your high school diploma, she would have to give it to you. She works for you. You guys work for
No,
us.
she wouldn't. No, if the council requested that, yes, she would have to produce records.
Okay.
We can't have one person on the council going out and doing things that the council should be doing as a group. We hire and fire her, not an individual council
I agree.
person.
But I also agree that you've all made everybody look bad. This just dragging everybody through the dirt. If we could somehow, or you, it's not me,
We're going to try to solve all
if
this
you guys could
prospectively.
somehow say, I don't like you, but I'm going to work with you, and I don't like your opinion, but I'm going to do this for the people. I think that's what really needs to be done here, for the people.
That's what a collegial body should do. I
Yes,
agree.
sir.
I agree.
Thank you.
Mr. Hatch, come on up. Can you state your name? I forgot to ask Ms. Barber to do that.
I live at 162 Boots Road, Melrose, Florida. I am not in Keystone Heights, but I'm a business owner here in Keystone Heights. I'm a little embarrassed by what I have seen, and I'm just like every one of you all up there. I'm human. If I turn to Mr. Beal, he's seen me get angry before.
So what?
Yeah, and so have you. But I want to say this. We have a wonderful city. We love having business in this city. and I'll say this, I'll make this illustration. If I was going down the road doing 65 and a state officer pulled me over, I'd be breaking the law, regardless of how I called it, whether I was doing great things for the community or not. We have laws for reasons. We have regulations for reasons. We have guidance for reasons. I don't know what took place in her application. I wasn't here. But if there were criteria for that job position, they should have been enforced. They should have been enforced. And even if they had been found 2-3 years later, if I was working at Florida Blue full-time and had lied on my application, they found out about it, I'd lose my job. If I have an agent that is doing transactions in the inappropriate way, I don't care if they've got their license or not, they're no longer going to be employed with us or working as an agent for us. I work under, and I believe, we should rule under a couple of guidances. First of all, the Bible. We should live by God's word, truth, honesty, integrity, love for one another. I don't see that on this council right now. Underneath that law is the law in which Christ created, that God created through the government. It's made up of laws that I hope align with what's in the scriptures. I would pray that you all would align your decisions, not from a political perspective, but from what is right and what is wrong. I pray God's blessings on you guys, and I pray that you all can reconcile it. You do get our tax monies as a business. I hope you use them wisely and not make this a vendetta. God bless you guys.
Any others? Any other comments? Yes, Miss, come on.
Mayor, I believe if Ms. Franklin needs to state her address for the record.
Okay.
Because she did not. She did? Okay.
Debbie Beals, 5305 County Road 352. I just want to say, please just all get along. We had the prettiest street on Lawrence Boulevard for Christmas, and we've had so many people that drive down the road, oh, it looks just like Penny Farms, you know, you've got all the beautiful lights and everything, and I do believe that's because of all of you, and especially because of Lynn. She does a great job, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Beaton, can you state your name and your address for the record, please?
My name is Robin Baton, and I live at 100 Northwest Berea Avenue. My husband and I are residents of the city of Keystone. We've lived here for 26 years. I'm disappointed in what I'm seeing here on the council today. And full disclosure, I did run for a council seat in last year's election against Mr. Hart, and I lost. It was a good race.
And you ran a very good
Thank
contest.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm really concerned about what I'm seeing here on the council. I am definitely a supporter of Karen Lake. I think she does amazing work in this city. And I think we're losing sight of the actual issue here, okay? Social media is a thing, and people are free, there's freedom of speech, to make comments. And sometimes they're not, if you disagree with it, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. And because she is the mayor of Keystone Heights does not mean that she cannot make a comment on social media. Okay, Ms. Rakowski, if you lied on your application, that's a problem. My husband and I have 55 years of public service, the city of Gainesville. I can tell you right now that if I had lied on an application or lied in an interview or did something unethical, I would have been gone. I retired after 20 years. My husband retired after 33. Okay, that's not something that you do as a city employee. And I'm sorry, if you lied on your application, you should take your resignation and you should submit it again, and it should be done. I heard, excuse me, I'm talking. Excuse me, okay, thank you. Excuse me?
I said, keep talking.
Did you say something like run your mouth? Are you a councilwoman?
No, not anymore. This is my last one.
I move we take a 5-minute recess.
Okay, I'm not finished speaking yet, and I still have 1 minute and 5 seconds, okay?
That's a priority motion.
Okay, I don't know what that means. Do I need to stop speaking?
Nobody seconded my motion. What I'm trying to do basically is just diffuse the situation.
No, what you want is for me and for her and for everybody to just go away and let Lynn continue to do her job. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You know, there was a hit piece done in the Clay Today last week that I read, a hit piece on Karen. And I know what it feels like to be in that position because they did it to me when I campaigned. Okay? We've totally lost sight of the issue here. It is not Karen Lake. The issue is Lynn Rakowski. And I think we need to remember that. We have a job here. You were elected to represent the citizens, the taxpayers of Keystone Heights, okay? I appreciate all these people that are here to speak on Lynn's behalf. They're business owners. I've been here for 26 years. I want to be heard. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the meeting. Meetings are...
I'm not done. I got one more thing, and here again, Rich, if I'm out of order, please. Tonight, or this afternoon, we've heard several comments from several people. And there's, and this lady that just spoke, made comment to Lynn and things that she should do or not do or whatever. But I've been here for 58 years. I was born in Bradford County, and I've lived here all my life, except for 1 year. I lived in Columbia, South Carolina, and worked for a sheriff's department. I came home because this is home. It's been stated off and on, over and over tonight about how we love our community. There is no doubt about that. But I go back to the part of the, and you've stated that you were new. When you went to our city engineers with the vegetation person. And yes, this is tonight about Lynn's resignation, but it's also about why we are here about this resignation. It wouldn't have never came a part of this discussion if it hadn't have been for all what we're talking about, social media.
No, sir, it was about an email strand where I was questioning her, what was in her file. That's where it was.
This conversation started well before that, Madam Mayor.
We go back 2 years ago when we told you that these late night texts and everything. It's.
I'm only going to make one comment. Somebody said something to me the other day that was interesting to me, and true. And you know, those were old texts. Those were 3 years ago. I think I've sent her one that you referenced in your comments in February, and the rest has been emails online, emails for her. So I'm offended by you, Tony, by trying to keep whatever many years or whatever you think I've done wrong against me, but you excuse something that's coming from Ms. Lynn like a lie about her application. So you excuse that. I would say to you, at what level would an employee hired by this council, what would a person have to do in that position that would tell you she no longer qualifies character-wise for that position? If she lies repeatedly, is that okay with you? Is that the message you want to send out to residents about the person that we employ to represent our city? I mean, those are the ones that I caught her in. I don't have any idea what other things have gone down. I can only tell you that in my experience with this person, if she lies to me about one thing and I see 2 other lies in a row, that's 3 times that I know about, that's a problem. That's a problem hiring and keeping that employee. So let me ask you, what would she have to do to say to you, you know what, we've come to a point where we have to part? What would she have to do? Would she have to be found doing something more serious? I mean, you act as if that initial lie about her application was nothing.
Mary, you're the only one that's brought that up, and then the rest of us said, I mean, this council had nothing to do other than putting her in the position of city manager, and you were part of that.
I was, and I agreed
And-
because I asked her the question, and she said, yes, she was a high school graduate. And then I found out she was not, because she produced a record that was incomplete.
Well, I'm not going to be here Monday for the council meeting, and if I was, I would handle this. And I personally think that we need to, whatever we need to do as a council, we need to, one, support the people of this city, support our staff, and I would like to look into the items of the spending taxpayers' money without permission from the city council. I like some type of information on how much was spent, why it was spent, and if that needs to be on the agenda, I would hope to have that in the May meeting.
Perhaps that can be addressed at the May 2nd meeting.
Yeah, I'd like to get that clarified.
Okay, anything else before you go to the order? We're done.